And we have finally arrived at WWE Fastlane. I've said this for the last few weeks. Let's never put a pay-per-view this close to WrestleMania again. It's like you want to get some ice cream, but some old funny daddy is going to make you eat your broccoli first. I actually really like broccoli, but I felt like I needed to make some kind of a point. But it does mean that we get to come on here and try and predict and work out what's going to happen at that show. And really, who has any idea? Because now the plan should be in place for WrestleMania. Or are we going to pull a fast lane one and change it? We absolutely shouldn't, but you just never know. So my name is Simon Miller. Welcome to What Culture Wrestling. And yes, indeedy do. Let's predict WWE Fastlane 2021. Let's start with an absolutely ridiculous one, because somehow we are, according to the internet, getting Randy Orton versus Alexa Bliss in an intergender match. Now, everyone just needs to calm down. I don't believe we're going to see anything physical here. They're probably just going to stare at each other, and then Alexa Bliss will be on a swing, and then Randy Orton will start coughing up the goo, because he loves coughing up the goo. Maybe we get the other Randy Orton. Remember him? There was two of him at one point before, of course, The Fiend comes back. And that will be the big spin here. What does he look like now? And is he just a burnt man? He'll then beat up Randy Orton. It'll build to whatever the hell they're going to do at WrestleMania. And this is fine. And actually, you've got to applaud WWE for two reasons. One, they've stuck with this story by hook or by crook, whether you liked it or whether you didn't. But also, they did set a man on fire and they actually kept him off Raw for a good amount of time. And sometimes wrestlers break their leg, and then 7 days later, oh, hey, I'm back. It magically got fixed. And I am intrigued to see what Bray Wyatt is going to do with this, because he can't just come back as the normal Fiend. Once more, he was set alight. I saw him rolling around going, oh, I don't like being on fire, I don't like being on fire. But in terms of a winner for this match, there's not going to be one. It's just going to be, hello, Fiend. It's good to see you back. Moving on to other matches that are also crazy, we are getting a round two of Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler defending their Women's Tag Team Championships against Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair. And I can only presume that somewhere in the vicinity, here will come Reginald. And that's probably how this is going to end as well, because as much as I do like Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair, as soon as we get to Monday, or Friday for them I suppose, I want them to forget about Nia Jax, I want them to forget about Reginald, I want them to forget about Shayna Baszler, I want them to forget about the tag team titles, and I just want to be, Sasha Banks is a brilliant wrestler, Bianca Belair is a brilliant wrestler. When you are the best, you go after the top championship, which for them is the SmackDown Women's title, so let's just double down on that and make it a real proper old-fashioned wrestling contest. And anytime I say something like this, people go crazy, go, I can't believe you compared these two to those two. That's not what I'm saying. But one of the great things about the Rock versus Stone Cold feuds is that it was just personal and it was gritty and it was real. You wouldn't have inserted a Crash Holly in there for some lols, and that's why we shouldn't be doing it here. I've gone massively off track now. We're talking about WrestleMania, and we're meant to be talking about Fastlane, but Reginald will distract Sasha Banks, because WWE loves distraction finishes, and then she'll lose, or one of them will lose, probably Bianca Belair, because I think she's going to win the title at WrestleMania, and then Shayna and Nia can go on to do something. I mean, this is the problem with the women's tag team division. Who haven't they beaten, and who actually is ready? That's quite a long-winded answer, but yes, I do not think the tag team titles are going to change here, and I'm still kind of bewildered that we're actually doing this rematch. You know, we did it a few weeks ago. Why don't we need to do it again? I'm sure that a bunch more matches are also going to be announced, because we only have 5 at the moment, and WWE loves getting to Sunday and going, oh, we're going to do this and we're going to do that. But what we 100% know we are getting is Big E, the Intercontinental Champion, defending his belt against the now crazy Apollo Crews. And I can't wait for this. I think this could be my most anticipated matchup on the entire card, because both guys right now are just killing it. Big E has found the perfect balance about when to be funny and when to be serious. I think Apollo Crews, in his no character, is now standing out far better than he did before. And if there is a way to get out of this and rematch it at WrestleMania and then make Apollo Crews the champion to justify his turn, well, that's going to make me feel all warm and fuzzy in my tum-tum. However, I don't actually think that is going to happen, because I think when we do get to the show of shows, we're probably going to do some multi-man match, which WWE does enjoy doing, and you'll probably have Apollo Crews, and you'll have Big E, and you'll just have a bunch of other guys, maybe like Sami Zayn, Baron Corbin, and Kevin Owens. Is he on Raw? No, he's on SmackDown. Sometimes I get confused. But that does make this one very difficult, because I'm all for having a dominant Intercontinental Champion, especially when it's someone like Big E, but you don't want Apollo Crews to lose in his first match after he has taken this new path. Otherwise, you Shinsuke Nakamura him. Remember that? Oh, AJ, I'm bad now. I punched you in the testicles. And what did it get me? Jackal. So I actually think this is a time when WWE should bring in some of their gaga. I know I'm the first person to complain about it, but that's only because they do it too much. You actually do have a match here where both guys need to be protected, but Big E does need to walk away with the belt. So I don't think this is going to be on the up and up, and I do think Apollo Crews is going to have something to complain about, but I'm clearly not feeling very creative today because I can't come up with anything. Maybe Big E says, oh, you're not a real Nigerian king, and that annoys Apollo so much, it just falls on the floor. Never let me book a wrestling show. Following up from that, we're also going to get Drew McIntyre versus Sheamus, and this is just going to be a really good fight. It's kind of upsetting that we have seen it so much on Raw, because this would feel like a major deal if they hadn't clashed up to this point, but they work so well together. They have so much chemistry because they are real buddies. They just literally punch each other in the face. I very much enjoy seeing them tangle. I was about to give it an up. That's the wrong show. This is where I kind of get all spooked though, because you really have put yourself once again in a difficult position. We know we're going to do Drew McIntyre versus Bobby Lashley at WrestleMania. That is set in stone. So I have two things in my brain. The first is, well, you have Drew win, because then he has serious momentum going into that main event. But there's this other smaller bit that's like, maybe they're actually going to have Sheamus beat him. So whatever we do following WrestleMania, Sheamus can be the #1 contender. But that will be really dumb, because if I was Sheamus, I'd be like, all right, we'll put me in the WrestleMania main event, because my version of Sheamus has some kind of speech impediment. But you can't do that. Right now, you've got to focus what's important, which is Bob versus Drew. So Sheamus, unfortunately, is just going to have to take another fall here. But I guess if they really do kick each other's ass, Sheamus has been on such a tear recently, we probably would let it go. The real big question is whether or not Drew McIntyre is actually going to win that WWE title back from Lashley in a few weeks. Because now I'm starting to think that maybe he shouldn't. I really like Bobby Lashley as WWE champion, and if you take it off him in early April, he's gonna feel like a transitional one, and boy do I not like that. Let me keep going off on these tangents, because there's no matches on stupid Fastlane, but I'll go with my boy Drew. And we finish with Roman Reigns versus Daniel Bryan. As I am recording this before SmackDown, the special guest enforcer is either going to be Edge or it's going to be Jey Uso, but come on now, it very well clearly has to be Edge. That makes so much more sense for the story. And this also ties into what the hell WWE wants to do at WrestleMania, but this one I'm going to be far more confident and say that Edge, as the special guest enforcer, costs Daniel Bryan the match here somehow, maybe by accident, maybe by not. It allows Roman Reigns to win, but because there is so much controversy here, the main event, or whatever they're going to do at WrestleMania, actually becomes Roman Reigns versus Edge versus Daniel Bryan for that their Universal Championship. And I think the reason we will do this is that WWE has decided, man, we should make Edge champion, but we really don't want to make Roman Reigns not the champion, but we don't want to pin Edge, and we don't want to pin Roman, so what we will do is we'll get Daniel Bryan involved. So yes, what I am saying, even though it's going to feel like it's this close for Daniel Bryan to become the champion, Roman Reigns will spear him out of his boots or do something at WrestleMania, he'll pin Daniel Bryan, Edge can then feel screwed. Maybe you can then do a feud between Edge and Daniel Bryan, for Edge goes back to Roman Reigns. I don't know, I'm just making it up. It kind of does suck on the one hand, because I actually think there's a real tragic story you could tell here, where Edge finally is about to win the belt that he never lost, but actually he gets his ass whipped by Roman Reigns. I think that gives a really nice edge, no pun intended, although obviously massive pun intended, to Edge, or the rated R superstar, because then he can be like a wounded old warrior, as opposed to, oh look, I'm champion again. That would be good, and it would get me excited, but it doesn't have the necessary depth. The point being is that I think that Roman Reigns will win here, and that Roman could even be champion until WrestleMania 38. I genuinely think that. I tell you, I'll be fine with it, as long as they can keep that character interesting. He's such a loon. Enjoy seeing him in this way. Also at this stage, I will just say, forget a lot of what I've already mentioned, because maybe, just maybe, 24 hours have passed, and somebody then found out that Braun Strowman versus Shane McMahon has been put back onto Fastlane, so I had to record a little extra bit for the video. I'm not saying it did happen, I'm not saying it didn't happen, I'm just opening my mouth, the words are coming out. But yes, even though it did disappear from WWE.com and everybody just went, okay, for some reason I guess we're not doing it, when SmackDown rolled around, Braun Strowman versus Shane McMahon is back on the table, and I'm not gonna lie, I have absolutely no clue. I have absolutely no idea. I was convinced we're going to save this for WrestleMania. I'm still convinced we're going to do it at WrestleMania, which means What the hell are we gonna do here? And it's probably gonna result in shenanigans, in gaga, in nonsense, in ridiculousness. It's gonna have something to do with goo. It may have something to do with Shane calling Braun stupid and Braun getting so mad that he screams, "Ah!" and his head blows off. So the referee's like, well, there has to be a no contest, and let's face it, WWE would do it. I don't know. Unless Shane is going to win here by stupid means, which means Braun then challenges him to a rematch. But you don't want rematches at WrestleMania only 3 weeks after the fact. That kind of sucks. So I'm perplexed and I'm confused, but just for shibs and giggles, I'm gonna say that Shane McMahon will be victorious against Braun Strowman, who really does have a very bad WrestleMania record. Also, now that we are here, I am able to sneak in and say, oh, we're getting Shinsuke Nakamura versus Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins is clearly going to be victorious there. Poor Shinsuke never gets a victory. We teased him in that gauntlet match a few months ago, but now that's over. Then maybe Seth beats the hell out of him so bad, Cesaro comes out to save his friend, which of course gives us Seth versus Cesaro at WrestleMania, which I believe is the Swiss Superman's first ever singles match at the Show of Shows. And let's just pretend that's not true, because it hurts my stomach. I really do enjoy Seth Rollins at the moments though. He will beat Shinsuke Nakamura, and then yes, I've already laid out his plan. That's that. There you go, WWE Fastlane, a very, very strange event that confuses me massively, but at least it gives us something to watch on Sunday evening or Monday morning. Now, please do make sure you get in those comments and let us know your predictions. If anyone gets it like 100% right, maybe you'll win a prize. Maybe you won't, I don't know. I'm not the prize king. Then please do like the video, share the video, and subscribe. Head over to whatculture.com where you can read articles like this. There's videos around my head. Give one a click and you can stay on the channel. And also, you're on social media. Come find us and give us a follow. My name is Simon from What Culture. Make sure you do enjoy Fastlane, because when it is done, finally, we're on the real road to WrestleMania. I tell you, I have no idea where the hell that's gonna end. See ya.